Hi guys, it's Jean here, and today I wanted to review Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I've just spent my whole holidays binge reading the series and it's been absolutely amazing. I actually read book 1 and book 2 all in one go. And that's saying something, seeing as these books are, average length. So today I'm actually watching the Miss Peregrine's movie. I'm really excited because it's the advanced screening. A few weeks ago I went to the Loop Day event and it was amazing because we got to see these preview clips and it was a really well put together event. And I really found out what Loop Day is, which is a day where the Peculiars can keep reliving so that they can live frozen in time. Since going to that event, I really wanted to read the whole series before I watched the movie, just so I could experience how the movie's really like and really rate the movie as well. I just loved Tim Burton's direction and it looked like such a magical story. So how did the book compare? I found it really unique how there's these beautiful illustrations in there. Sprinkled among the book are these beautiful illustrations and you can really see how each illustration really tells a story. I was absolutely amazed when I got to the end of the book and I read the author's note, and he said that most of the photos that are featured in the book are actually real. Now, when you look at this one, it's actually of a levitating girl and it's iconic. Yeah, I thought that was actually really amazing and it just blew my mind. The first book was actually really addicting because you've got Jacob, who has always listened to his grandfather's crazy ass stories growing up. His parents think he should be put in a psych ward, but then he discovers this peculiar world of children with magical abilities. And I loved Emma, how she was so feisty and so sure of herself. It's like the complete opposite to Jacob himself, and he's really attracted to that sort of nature. And then you've got Miss Peregrine, who's like the mother hen of them all. And you've got all these wonderful abilities that the children have. Yes, it kind of sounds familiar, it kind of sounds like X-Men, but combined with the creepy setting of the island, and then you've got like the threat of the whites, who are these whited out blank monster type people that come after them. With all of that combined, it's really unique and I haven't quite read anything like this series before. If you watched the trailer though of the movie and you haven't read the book, when reading it I was really confused. Emma in the book actually commands fire and she's the fire girl, whereas in the movie trailer she's actually the flying, levitating one. I don't know why they changed it, maybe for dramatic effect, but I was really confused when reading it. I think the movie will actually be quite different to the book in that respect, but I really want to see that majestic setting. So I went straight into Hollow City as soon as it arrived. It's funny because my co-blogger Jenna, she's like, absolutely love this series. I'm like, yes, the book's arrived. And then a few hours later, I'm like, yep, I'm done. I need the next book now. And she was pretty amazed because I don't normally read that fast. But Hollow City was the best book of the series. It's really exciting because when the first book is about Jacob discovering this strange new world and about the children, it really goes into each of the children and their personalities and also their abilities as well. If you see here, the book has an illustration of each of the peculiar children and their abilities, and this really helped me remember the sheer cast of characters that there was. I loved really getting to know the children and finding out their personalities. Like you've got Bronwyn, who looks like a bit of a mannish bully, but she's actually quite a friendly, protective kid who all the other kids look up to. And then you've got Emma, as I said before, she's so feisty and she really wants to get things going. Then you've got Horace, who loves his fashion and he's actually a bit snobby as well. They're all really quirky and they have their own idiosyncrasies in their own way, and I really love getting to know them. If you thought the first book was strange, this book is actually even stranger. There's like talking animals, they stumble upon so many strange places like a circus and a fete. They're on the hunt for Miss Peregrine, who has been kidnapped by whites, and they're also discovering these new places and finding out more about this world. And it was interesting because they don't just stay in one place like the first book. They're traveling to all these wonderful loops and different places, and there's a massive twist and cliffhanger at the end. I was dying because I hadn't had the third book arrive yet. Hollow City was actually my favorite out of the 3 books because it was just action-packed and there was some lovely quiet moments and great character development. How about Library of Souls? I took about 6 days to read it. That's pretty much average for me, but I just found it so slow. Compared to the rest of the series, it really dragged for me. This is probably the longest book, like it's almost 500 pages, but oh my gosh, it just took so long getting anywhere. Library of Souls actually introduced quite a lot of new concepts. A lot of them were quite complex, should have been introduced slowly across the course of the series, but it actually felt like such a different book from the rest of the series. So it really goes into whites and hollows and how they came about and their past in the history of the peculiardom, and then it goes into Miss Peregrine and her brothers. Then it even introduces like new villains. So there's the evil cow who kidnaps all the Imbrins, which are the people like Miss Peregrine who want to take hold of all the loops. And he also kidnaps peculiar children as well and stores their powers in this Library of Souls. For a book that's called Library of Souls, you would think you would hear mostly about the library, but that really wasn't the case. There's also like a hint of time travel with a brand new machine where you can travel to different loops in time, which was actually pretty cool because there's like a hint of Siberia in here. But most of the novel is set in Devil's Acre, which is like the slummy Victorian London. Unlike Hollow City, where there was lots of traveling to different places, it's mainly in this one spot, and there's really interesting characters. You know, there's like taxidermy and stuffed, and like it was just really disturbing. That's all you need to know. I found because the other 2 books were more about discovering this new world, all the world building is jam-packed into this one book, and I found it quite overwhelming at times. Sometimes when I found it really draggy, I was just like, come on guys, where are we going? When are you going to save Miss Peregrine? Where are the rest of the kids? Most of the kids from the last book that we've grown to love over the course of the series kind of disappear. And you've got mostly Jacob and Emma and all these new characters dealing with the evil cow. Yeah, I just sort of wanted to see more of the other characters. And the plot wasn't that strong as well, you know. In the end, he has to save Miss Peregrine, he has to save the kids, he has to defeat this evil cow. But it really doesn't strongly tie it together in the end. I found like, in the end, it was really action-packed and it was really tension-filled, and we eventually got there. Jacob, by the way, experiences some great character development. He gets some really cool powers and finally shows that happening. But yeah, like we eventually got there in the end, but unfortunately most of the book was just so slow. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. The other 2 books I gave 5 stars. I know lots of people love this book though, but it just was so different. So that's my review and my thoughts on the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. If you're thinking of reading the series before the movie, I really highly recommend it. I'll be watching the movie soon and I'll let you guys know what my thoughts were about it. And if you liked my review, please give me a thumbs up. I'll do more book reviews, I promise. Leave me a comment below on what you thought, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks guys, bye!